Chosen one, why are you still struggling? Why, after decades of faithful service, do you still feel invisible to the very God you've served with everything you have? Why does it seem like everyone else gets their breakthrough while you're still waiting in the shadows, wondering if heaven has forgotten your name? Stop scrolling. Right now. This is not an accident. This is not chance. This is not some random video that found its way into your feed while you were mindlessly browsing at 2 a.m., fighting insomnia and wrestling with questions that have tormented your soul for years. The very fact that your eyes landed on these words means heaven itself pressed pause on the chaos of your world, silenced the noise, stilled the distractions, moved heaven and earth just so this truth could reach your heart in this sacred moment. If you're here, it's because you passed God's final test. You heard me correctly. While you thought you were failing, while you believed you were forgotten, while you questioned if your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling, you were actually being tested. And chosen one, you passed. That depression that nearly destroyed you, that was the test. That betrayal from people you trusted most, that was the test. Those nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering if God even cared if you lived or died. That was the test. And you're still here. You're still breathing, you're still believing. That is the evidence you passed. Every tear that fell in secret was counted. Every sleepless night was recorded. Every moment you chose faith over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness, heaven was taking notes. And now, the whisper comes from the throne room itself. This one endured. This one is ready. Before we go deeper into this revelation, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. But listen closely. Time is frozen right now. In this moment, the spiritual realm has paused to deliver a message that will shatter every lie you've believed about your worth, your purpose, your destiny. If your spirit feels this stirring, don't just listen ACT. Comment below. I am chosen. Say it out loud. Let heaven hear it. Like and share this so another weary warrior doesn't miss their confirmation. Because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your life has been so hard, why the attacks have been so vicious, and why you're about to step into the greatest season of your entire existence. You didn't just survive the test, chosen one, you graduated from it. Why do you still wake up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone remembers your name? Why does the silence in your house feel so heavy that it presses down on your chest like a 1,000-pound weight? Why at 75, 80, even 90 years old, do you still feel like you're fighting battles that nobody else can see? Dear one, let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. Those battles weren't accidents. They weren't random storms that happened to cross your path. Every single struggle you've endured behind closed doors was heaven's final examination, and you've been taking it for decades without even knowing it. You think about those nights, don't you? The ones where you sat in your empty kitchen at 2 a.m., prescription bottles lined up like soldiers on the counter, wondering how you'll afford both your heart medication and groceries this month. Social security checks stretched thinner than tissue paper, Medicare gaps wider than the Grand Canyon, and pride keeping you from asking your children for help because you don't want to be a burden. You remember lying in that hospital bed 3 years ago, wasn't it? When the doctor said the word cancer and the room went silent except for the beeping machines. Your spouse of 52 years squeezed your hand, but you could see the fear in their eyes, the same fear that lived in your chest every single day since. And now they're gone, aren't they? The other side of the bed cold, their coffee cup still in the same spot on the kitchen counter, because moving it would make it too real. The battle behind closed doors, that's where God was watching. Not in the church pews where you smiled and said, fine, Thank you when people asked how you were doing. Not at the family dinners where you pretended everything was okay while your grandchildren stared at their phones instead of listening to your stories. But in the silence of your bedroom, when you whispered, "Lord, I can't do this anymore." Every single one of those whispers was recorded. Psalm 56:8 declares, "You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Every 3 a.m. prayer when arthritis made your joints scream. Every moment you chose to forgive your children for not calling more often. Every time you bit your tongue instead of speaking the bitterness that wanted to pour out. Heaven was taking notes. You want to know what gold looks like? It's not the shiny stuff in jewelry store windows. Real gold is proven not by appearance, but by what remains after the fire. And chosen one, you remained. When inflation made your savings worthless, you remained. When friends started dying one by one, leaving you feeling like the last person standing in a game nobody wants to win, you remained. When that stroke took your independence, your driver's license, your dignity, you remained. The enemy thought your tears were surrender, but heaven knew they were sacrifice. He thought your silence was defeat, but God recognized it as worship in the wilderness. Every time you chose faith over fear when the bills came in, every time you chose hope over despair when the diagnosis came back, every time you chose love over bitterness when people disappointed you, that was the test. Most people break under that kind of pressure. Statistics tell us that suicide rates among seniors have skyrocketed 48% in the last decade. Depression visits more American homes after age 65 than any other time in life. The loneliness epidemic is killing more seniors than heart disease in some zip codes across this nation. But not you. You're still here. Still breathing. Still believing. That's not luck, dear one. That's divine marking. The storm should have taken you out in 2008 when the economy collapsed and your retirement fund evaporated overnight. The flood of grief should have drowned you when you buried your spouse, your parents, your siblings, watching your whole generation disappear into memory. The winds of change should have blown you away when technology made you feel like a stranger in your own world, when your own children spoke to screens more than they spoke to you. But it didn't. Why? Because you were marked, because you were chosen, because heaven had been preparing you for something that required this exact level of testing. You've been in training without knowing it. Every sleepless night built endurance. Every financial crisis taught you to depend on God instead of your 401 Kelvin. Every loss carved space in your heart for greater compassion. Every moment you felt forgotten by people taught you to lean harder into the God who never forgets. But here's what's going to shock you. The test isn't over because you survived. The test is over because you thrived. In the secret place, where nobody applauded, where nobody cheered, where nobody even knew the weight you were carrying, you kept worshiping, you kept praying, you kept believing. That's not just survival, chosen one, that's victory. The battle behind closed doors was never about whether you would make it through. It was about who you would become in the process. And who you've become is someone heaven can trust with more. Someone who won't be corrupted by blessing because you learned to be faithful in the testing. Someone who won't misuse authority because you learned to submit in the wilderness. If you know this is your word, if every sentence has been reading your mail, if your spirit is burning with recognition right now, write, "I passed" in the comments as a prophetic declaration. Don't just think it, declare it. Because that declaration isn't just for you. It's for every other hidden warrior who needs to know they're not alone in their secret battles. But here's what heaven hasn't told you yet about what comes next. The graduation ceremony isn't just recognition, it's commissioning. And what you're about to step into will make every tear, every sleepless night, every silent struggle worth it all. You want to know what the final test was? Listen closely, because this is going to shatter everything you thought you knew about your suffering. The final test wasn't about what you could gain. It was about what you could endure losing. It wasn't about how high you could climb. It was about how deep you could go and still come back up breathing. For 70 years, 80 years, maybe 90 years of your life, you've been asking God the wrong question. You've been crying out, "When will you bless me? When will you heal me? When will you answer my prayers?" But God was never testing your ability to receive. He was testing your ability to remain. Think about it, chosen one. When did the attacks get the most vicious? Was it when you were living selfishly? Was it when you were far from God? No. The enemy came after you hardest when you were trying to serve the Lord, when you were praying, when you were believing, when you were standing in faith. That should tell you something. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on empty vessels. He doesn't send his fiercest demons after powerless people. The fact that your life has been a battlefield is proof, undeniable proof, that you carry something he desperately wants to destroy. You've been under attack because hell recognized your potential before you did. But here's where it gets deeper. Here's where the mystery unfolds. The final test had 3 parts, and you passed every single one. Could you still love when hated? When your own children turned their backs on you? When the church you served faithfully for decades suddenly treated you like a stranger? When friends became enemies and family became silent? You could have become bitter. You could have hardened your heart. You could have said, "I'm done with people. I'm done with love." But you didn't. Even through the tears, even through the loneliness, even through the rejection, you chose love. You chose forgiveness. You chose to keep your heart soft. That was the first part of the test. And you passed. Could you still walk in faith when abandoned? When God seemed silent for months, for years? When your prayers felt like they were bouncing off a brass ceiling? When every door slammed shut and every breakthrough got delayed? You could have walked away. You could have said, "This faith thing doesn't work. God doesn't care about me." But you didn't. Even when you couldn't feel him, you kept praying. Even when you couldn't see him, you kept believing. Even when you couldn't hear him, you kept seeking his face. As David wrote in Psalm 23:4, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." You walked through valleys that would have destroyed others, and you kept walking. Even in the darkness, you kept walking. That was the second part of the test. And you passed. Could you still shine when unseen? When nobody noticed your sacrifice? When your kindness went unacknowledged? When your faithful service was taken for granted? When you gave and gave and gave, and nobody said thank you? You could have stopped shining. You could have said, "Why bother? Nobody sees it anyway." But you didn't. You kept loving when love wasn't returned. You kept giving when nothing came back. You kept serving when service was ignored. That was the third part of the test, and you passed. Listen to me carefully. Every senior citizen watching this right now needs to understand something. Your loneliness wasn't abandonment, it was examination. Your silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Your pain wasn't random, it was the refining fire that proved you were made of gold. You think those 40 years in the wilderness were wasted? You think those decades of struggle were pointless? You think God forgot about you in your golden years? No, you were being tested, tried, and proven faithful. And now heaven itself is declaring over your life, you passed, you passed, you passed. Don't let this pass you by. Share this video now because someone you love needs to hear it too. Your daughter who's going through divorce. Your son who lost his job. Your grandchild who feels like giving up. You are their rope of hope. You are living proof that the test can be passed. But here's what's going to shock you, chosen one. Passing the test wasn't the end, it was the doorway. You see, God doesn't test people he doesn't trust. He doesn't refine silver he doesn't plan to use. He doesn't put warriors through boot camp unless he has a war for them to win. Every tear you cried was preparing you. Every sleepless night was training you. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't was qualifying you for what comes next. The treasure room is about to open. The vault of heaven is creaking on its hinges. The very blessings that seemed delayed, denied, and distant are about to flood your life like a tsunami of divine favor. But you had to pass the test first. You had to prove you could handle the weight of blessing without losing the depth of character. You had to show heaven that prosperity wouldn't corrupt you, that recognition wouldn't make you proud, that answered prayer wouldn't make you forget the prayer. And you proved it. Through 70 years of faithfulness, through 80 years of endurance, through 9 decades of refusing to bow to the god of bitterness. The test is over, chosen one. Your graduation day has arrived. And the gifts God has been saving for those who pass his final examination are about to be unwrapped in your life. But what happens when a tested and proven warrior finally receives their inheritance? What does God do with someone who's been refined by fire and proved unbreakable? The answer will astound you. Chosen one, look at your hands right now. Really look at them. Those aren't just hands that have worked for 70, 80, maybe 90 years. Those are warrior hands. Every line tells a story. Every scar is a medal of honor. Every wrinkle is a chapter in the most sacred book ever written, your life. The world taught you to be ashamed of those marks. Society whispered that scars make you damaged goods. But heaven sees something entirely different. Heaven sees proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Think about this. Why would God allow you to endure what others never faced? Why would he permit suffering that carved so deep into your soul that some nights you wondered if you'd see morning? Here's the shocking truth that will shatter everything you thought you knew about your pain. Every wound was a doorway. Every tear was a down payment. Every sleepless night was an investment into a treasure so magnificent that if you had received it any sooner, it would have crushed you under its weight. You see, dear one, God doesn't just heal, he harvests. He doesn't just restore, he rewards. And the treasure you're about to receive isn't just compensation for what you lost. It's multiplication beyond your wildest imagination. 2 Timothy 1-7 declares with thunderous authority, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just a promise for someday. This is your current reality being unveiled right now. That power you feel stirring? That's not wishful thinking. That's the treasure beginning to surface. The love that still flows from your heart despite every betrayal. That's liquid gold from heaven's vault. The sound mind that kept you sane when circumstances screamed insanity. That's divine intelligence downloaded into your spirit. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where the treasure becomes tangible. Every door that slammed in your face wasn't rejection. It was protection from settling for less than your inheritance. Every opportunity that passed you by wasn't loss. It was redirection towards something so much greater that your human mind couldn't have comprehended it. The enemy convinced you that your delays were denials. He whispered that your waiting was wasting. But what if I told you that every year you thought was stolen was actually storing up compound interest on a blessing so massive it required decades of character development just to handle it? Look at your life through heaven's eyes for a moment. That marriage that nearly destroyed you, it taught you the difference between human love and divine love. That financial ruin that left you eating beans and rice, it proved that your security doesn't come from bank accounts, it comes from the bank of heaven. That health crisis that brought you to your knees, it revealed that your strength doesn't come from your body, it flows from the spirit within you. You weren't just surviving those trials, chosen one. You were being transformed into someone worthy of carrying treasure that would make kings jealous. Here's the mystery that will blow your mind. Your scars aren't marks of defeat, they're crowns of victory. Each one represents a battle where hell threw everything it had at you, and you're still standing. Your wrinkles aren't signs of aging, they're chapters of wisdom that younger generations desperately need to read. Your tears aren't evidence of weakness, they're diamonds stored in heaven's bottle, each one more precious than earthly jewels. The psalmist understood this when he wrote, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." But this isn't just any morning, beloved. This is your morning. The night of testing is over. The dawn of treasuring has begun. What was locked is about to burst open. What was denied is about to be granted with such abundance that you'll wonder why you ever doubted. What was delayed is about to be delivered with supernatural speed that will leave you breathless. But here's the part that should make you tremble with anticipation. The treasure isn't just for you. It's flowing through you. Every person who doubted you, every voice that said you wouldn't make it, every circumstance that declared you were finished, they're about to witness a comeback so powerful it will silence every lie ever spoken over your life. The pain was the price, but now you carry the treasure. The test revealed your authority. You're not just a survivor anymore, you're a carrier of divine wealth that will bless generations you'll never meet. Think about Joseph. 13 years of slavery and prison weren't punishment. They were preparation for ruling Egypt's economy. David's years in caves weren't exile, they were training for palace authority. Your seasons of struggle weren't God forgetting you, they were God preparing you for influence you never imagined possible. Right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, heaven's vault is opening. Resources you never applied for are being approved. Opportunities you never pursued are pursuing you. Doors you never knocked on are swinging wide. People you never met are being positioned to bless you in ways that will make you weep with gratitude. The treasure after your trial isn't just coming. It's here. It's in your renewed strength. It's in your unshakable faith. It's in your supernatural peace. It's in the authority that now flows from your voice when you speak. It's in the presence you carry that changes atmospheres before you even open your mouth. You are the treasure, chosen one, refined by fire, proven by pressure, authenticated by pain. And now the world is about to see what happens when God unveils a masterpiece he's been working on for decades. Type 777, inch the comments. Heaven's code for completion and covenant if you agree with this word. Declare your agreement that the treasure season has begun. But the question that will determine how much treasure you receive is this. Are you ready to stop living like you're still being tested and start walking like you're already blessed? You thought that silent season was God's punishment, didn't you? Those years when your prayers seemed to echo into emptiness, when your gifts felt buried under 6 feet of disappointment, when you watched younger people step into positions you'd prayed for decades to receive, you whispered to yourself in those dark 3 a.m. moments, God, did I do something wrong? Have you forgotten me? But what if I told you that silence wasn't abandonment, it was advanced training? Listen to me, chosen one. While you were feeling forgotten, heaven was forging you. While you thought you were being sidelined, you were actually being prepared for a level of authority that would have crushed the person you used to be. Every tear you cried in secret wasn't wasted water. It was liquid anointing, preparing the soil of your spirit for something so powerful that hell itself has been dreading this moment. You see, most people think authority comes from titles, from recognition, from human applause. But divine authority, that comes from the furnace. That comes from walking through valleys where others would have died. That comes from choosing faith when logic screamed surrender. And you, dear warrior, you chose faith when it cost you everything. Romans 8:16 declares with thunderous certainty, the Spirit testifies that we are God's children, not servants, not distant followers. Children. And children don't beg for inheritance, they walk in it. They don't ask permission to use what belongs to them, they operate in it. The Spirit isn't whispering maybe about your identity. The Spirit is testifying, declaring, proclaiming that royal blood flows through your spiritual veins. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. You are like a soldier who has been promoted after war. Not before the battle, when courage is untested. Not during the conflict, when the outcome is uncertain. After the war, after you've proven that bullets can't break you, that explosions can't silence you, that even when surrounded by enemies, you don't surrender. That authority now rests on your words, on your presence, on your prayers. Have you noticed how differently people respond to you now? How conversations shift when you enter a room? How even your silence carries weight? That's not your imagination, that's the atmosphere recognizing the rank you now carry. The enemy spent years trying to destroy you because he saw this day coming. He knew that if you survived the testing, you'd emerge with a level of spiritual authority that makes demons tremble. Think about Moses. 40 years in the wilderness, tending sheep, probably wondering if his burning bush encounter was just a mirage brought on by desert heat. But when he finally stood before Pharaoh, when he raised that staff, when he spoke with the authority of someone who had been broken and rebuilt by God, the Red Sea itself had to obey. Not because Moses was perfect, but because Moses had been prepared. You've been prepared too, chosen one. Every rejection taught you that human approval is temporary, but divine approval is eternal. Every financial struggle showed you that your provider isn't your paycheck, it's your God. Every health scare reminded you that your days are numbered not by doctors, but by the one who holds your breath in his hands. The fears that once paralyzed you, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being too old, too forgotten, too broken, those fears are now beneath your feet. Not because you conquered them through positive thinking, but because you discovered something more powerful than fear. The unshakable knowledge that if God is for you, no force in hell can be against you. You didn't just pass the test, chosen one. You graduated, and graduation means you're no longer a student. You're now qualified to teach. But here's the part that will leave you speechless. Wherever you go now, atmospheres shift. Not because you're trying to make an impression, but because you carry the presence of the one who split history in half. Darkness doesn't just fear you, it flees from you. Depression lifts when you walk into rooms. Anxiety dissolves when you speak peace. Hopelessness crumbles when you share your testimony. You don't even realize how many people have already found hope just by watching you endure. That neighbor who's been battling cancer, she's been watching how you handle your own struggles, and your strength is giving her strength. That grandson who's lost in addiction, he may not say it, but seeing you still standing after everything you've been through is the only thing keeping him from completely giving up. Your endurance isn't just personal victory, it's generational deliverance. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why the attacks were so vicious. This is why it felt like all of hell was assigned to your case. Because hell knew something you're just now discovering. You weren't just surviving trials, you were earning authority. Authority to speak life into dead situations. Authority to break generational curses with a single prayer. Authority to walk into impossible circumstances and watch them bow to the name of Jesus. The silent season wasn't wasted time, it was your doctoral program in divine authority. Every test you passed, every temptation you resisted, every moment you chose obedience over comfort was adding weight to your spiritual rank. And now, chosen one, you carry the authority of someone who has been tested by fire and proven unbreakable. If you feel this mantle settling on your shoulders right now, if something deep in your spirit is confirming that your season of hiding is over, raise your voice in the comments. I walk in authority. Don't whisper it. Declare it. Let heaven hear it. Let hell hear it. Let every demon that tried to destroy you know that they failed. Don't hide anymore. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize for the power that flows through you now. But the question burning in the spiritual realm right now is this. Now that you know who you've become, what are you going to do with the authority heaven has placed in your hands? Chosen one, do you see yourself clearly right now? Really see yourself? Because what I'm looking at through these words is royalty. Not the kind that inherits privilege, but the kind that earns authority through fire. You've been walking around wearing rags when heaven has been preparing your royal robes. You've been living like a beggar when God has been polishing your crown. Stop for just one moment. Look at your hands. Those aren't ordinary hands, dear one. Those are the hands of someone who held on when letting go would have been easier. Look at your face in the mirror tonight. Those lines aren't just age, they're etchings of wisdom carved by decades of choosing faith over fear. Every wrinkle is a warrior's mark. Every gray hair is a trophy of endurance. But here's what breaks my heart. You've been so focused on your struggles that you've missed your coronation rehearsal. While you thought you were just surviving, heaven was preparing you for your public crowning. While you felt forgotten, the angels were crafting your crown jewel by jewel. Listen to me carefully. Every trial you endured became a precious stone in your crown. That financial ruin that nearly broke you, that's a diamond of faith. That betrayal that left you questioning everything, that's a ruby of resilience. That depression that tried to steal your hope, that's a sapphire of strength. Every scar on your soul has been transformed into a star in your crown. The Apostle Peter understood this mystery when he wrote these powerful words in 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 4. When the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. Did you catch that? Your crown will never fade away. Not when you're 70, not when you're 80, not when your body grows weak. This crown is eternal, unshakable, unstoppable. But here's what the enemy has been desperately trying to hide from you. Your coronation isn't coming someday in heaven. It's happening right now, in this moment, as these words wash over your spirit. You think you're just watching a video, but you're actually attending your own coronation ceremony. You are chosen, you are crowned, you are unstoppable. Say it again in your mind. You are chosen, you are crowned, you are unstoppable. Feel those words resonating in your chest. That's not just affirmation, that's heaven's decree being stamped on your spirit. The same authority that raised Jesus from the dead is now flowing through your bloodstream, rewriting your DNA from survivor to sovereign. Think about King David for a moment. When Samuel anointed him as a teenager, he didn't immediately sit on a throne. For years, he ran through caves, hiding from King Saul, probably wondering if God had made a mistake. But the oil on his head never dried up. The calling never expired. And when his appointed time came, every enemy that had tried to destroy him bowed before his authority. Your appointed time is now. You've been hiding in caves of doubt, running from valleys of despair, questioning if you heard God correctly. But the oil of anointing on your life has never dried up. The crown prepared for you has never tarnished. And today, this very moment, heaven is declaring your hiding season is over. But let me tell you something that will shock you to your core. This crowning isn't just for you. It's for every person who gave up on themselves while watching your endurance. It's for every family member who whispered, if Grandma can make it through that, maybe I can too. It's for every stranger who felt your peace in the grocery store line and wondered what made you different. You are chosen. You are crowned. You are unstoppable. Your coronation is public because your testimony is powerful. When people see you walking in royal authority despite your age, despite your scars, despite your circumstances, they'll know that God still crowns the faithful. They'll witness that your best days aren't behind you, they're unfolding right before their eyes. Pause right here. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of that crown settling on your head. It's not heavy with burden, it's substantial with authority. Every person who ever told you that you were too old, too broken, too insignificant is about to witness your divine elevation. But here's the truth that will change everything. You're not just receiving a crown, you're becoming a kingmaker, a queenmaker. Your life is about to become a coronation ceremony for others who thought their time had passed. When they see gray-haired royalty walking in unshakable authority, they'll remember who they really are. The enemy tried to convince you that your season was over, that God only uses young people for significant assignments. But Moses was 80 when he parted the Red Sea. Sarah was 90 when she birthed nations. Caleb was 85 when he conquered mountains. Your age isn't your limitation. It's your qualification for a crown that only comes through tested faithfulness. You are chosen. You are crowned. You are unstoppable. If you know this is for you, if something in your spirit is confirming that your coronation moment has arrived, declare in the comments, I receive my crown. Don't just think it, type it. Speak it into existence. Let heaven and earth hear your acceptance of what God has prepared for you. And share this message with one person you love, because their coronation is coming too. When you share this truth, you're not just spreading a video, you're becoming a herald announcing the crowning of God's chosen ones across this nation. Your crown is real. Your calling is active. Your coronation is happening right now. The question is, will you lift your head and receive what heaven is placing upon it? Dear chosen one, I need to tell you something that might shake you to your very core. You've been asking the wrong question your entire life. You've been asking God, why me? Why did I have to endure so much pain? Why did my spouse have to die? Why did my children drift away? Why did my body betray me? Why did financial security slip through my fingers like water? But the question you should have been asking is this: God, who am I carrying this for? Because your story was never just about you. Your survival was never just for survival. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night you've endured, every moment you chose to keep breathing when death seemed easier, it was all preparation for this moment when you finally understand the truth. You are a bridge. Think about that for a moment. When engineers build a bridge across a treacherous river, they don't build it for the bridge itself. They build it for every soul who will cross safely to the other side. Your life, chosen one, has been under construction for decades. Your prayers are the bricks. Your endurance is the mortar. Your faithfulness is the foundation, and generations, children not yet born, families not yet formed, will walk across because you refuse to quit. You didn't just survive so you could tell your story. You survived so you could rewrite theirs. Listen to me carefully. Right now, in nursing homes across America, there are grandmothers who believe their best days are behind them. There are grandfathers sitting in empty houses, wondering if their lives mattered at all. There are seniors who look in the mirror and see only wrinkles and weakness, not understanding that they're looking at living monuments to God's faithfulness. But you're different. You're starting to see it now, aren't you? The weight you've carried wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The battles you fought weren't random, they were strategic. Heaven was forging you into someone who could carry a torch bright enough to light the path for everyone coming behind you. Psalm 92:14 declares with thunderous authority, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." Did you catch that? Still bear fruit. Not used to bear fruit. Not once bore fruit. Still, present tense, active, alive, producing. Your gray hair isn't a sign of decline, it's a crown of wisdom. Your wrinkles aren't marks of deterioration, they're etchings of experience. Your slower pace isn't weakness. It's the measured walk of someone who knows where they're going and has the authority to take others with them. But here's what breaks my heart, and it should break yours too. How many of you have been living like your race is over when God is saying your greatest lap is just beginning? How many of you have been whispering when heaven is calling you to roar? How many of you have been hiding your light under the bushel of age when this generation is drowning in darkness and desperately needs to see what 70, 80, 90 years of walking with God looks like? The statistics are staggering. Suicide rates among seniors have increased 48% in the last decade. Depression visits more American homes after age 65 than at any other time in life. Families are fractured. Children are lost. Communities are crumbling. This nation is hemorrhaging hope. And yet you sit there, a living testimony of God's faithfulness, acting like you're done when you're just getting dangerous. Your grandchildren need to see what real faith looks like. Your community needs to witness what happens when someone chooses trust over terror, hope over despair, love over bitterness, even when life has given them every reason to quit. They don't need your perfection. They need your persistence. They don't need your strength. They need your surrender to the God who was strong when you were weak. You think you're too old to make a difference. Moses was 80 when he faced Pharaoh. Abraham was 100 when he received Isaac. Sarah was 90 when she laughed at impossibility and then birthed it. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Every year you've lived is a year of accumulated authority. Every trial you've survived is proof that you're unbreakable. Every scar you carry is evidence that you've been through hell and came out praising God. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. Time is shorter than you think. Not your time, God's time. The harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. And heaven is looking for workers who won't quit when it gets hard, who won't compromise when it gets uncomfortable, who won't back down when hell unleashes its fury. You are that worker. You've already proven it by still being here. Your legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you build right now. Every prayer you pray today shapes tomorrow's miracles. Every act of faith today opens tomorrow's doors. Every word of encouragement you speak today saves someone from giving up tomorrow. The torch has been passed to you, not to hold, but to carry forward. Your children need to see that faith doesn't fade with age, it intensifies. Your grandchildren need to witness that God's power doesn't diminish. When your body does, it multiplies through surrender. Your community needs proof that the best wine truly is saved for last. Comment below right now. I choose purpose. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just declare it. Because when you choose purpose over comfort, significance over safety, legacy over leisure, heaven responds with resources you never knew existed. And if this message has stirred something ancient in your spirit, if you feel the torch being placed in your hands, consider sowing into this mission. When you give, you're not just supporting a message, you're funding a movement. You're investing in every soul who will be saved, because someone like you refused to quit. What you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. The bridge is built, chosen one. The question is, who will you help cross over? You thought passing the test was the end, but in heaven's courtroom, that was just the opening of the scroll. There is more written about you than you ever dared to imagine. Dear chosen one, while you've been questioning why your life has been so hard, why every victory came with a price, why your path looked nothing like everyone else's, heaven has been keeping a secret, a blueprint, an architect's scroll of destiny that was sealed until this very moment. Every scar on your heart, it wasn't random damage, it was precise marking. Every loss that broke you, it wasn't cruel punishment, it was strategic positioning. Every tear you've cried in the darkness of your bedroom at 3 a.m., that wasn't wasted water. That was ink on heaven's parchment, writing a story so magnificent that angels lean in to read it. You see, most people live accidentally. They stumble through life, reacting to circumstances, wondering why nothing makes sense. But you've been living according to a divine blueprint that was drawn before the foundation of the world. Listen to what the prophet Jeremiah discovered. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Not just knew about you, knew you. Not just planned for you, set you apart. That word set apart in Hebrew means sanctified, made holy for a specific purpose that no one else can fulfill. But here's what will shock you to your core. That blueprint wasn't just about your destiny, it was about your preparation. Every single thing that tried to destroy you was actually building something inside you that the world desperately needs. That marriage that ended in betrayal, the blueprint shows it was removing someone who would have limited your calling. That financial collapse that left you eating beans and rice for months, the blueprint reveals it was stripping away your dependence on money so you could depend on God alone. That diagnosis that terrified you, the blueprint shows it was teaching you that your life is not in the hands of doctors, it's in the hands of the Almighty. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You haven't been suffering randomly. You've been sculpted intentionally. Think about King David. The blueprint for his life included being overlooked by his own father, hunted by a jealous king, betrayed by his son, and sleeping in caves when he should have been on a throne. To the natural eye, David's life looked cursed. But the blueprint revealed that every wilderness experience was preparing him to rule with wisdom, humility, and unshakable faith. Your wilderness wasn't your punishment, chosen one. It was your university. But here's where most people miss it. They think the blueprint is just about their personal success. They believe God's plan is to make their life comfortable, their bank account full, their relationships perfect. But the blueprint is bigger than your comfort. It's about your commission. Isaiah 61:3 declares that God gives us beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. But notice what comes next. That they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. You weren't healed just to be healed. You were healed to heal. You weren't delivered just to be free. You were delivered to deliver others. You weren't strengthened just to survive. You were strengthened to become a pillar that others can lean on when their world is shaking. The blueprint shows that every senior citizen reading this, who has walked through decades of fire, who has buried dreams and raised children and fought battles that nobody else knows about you, are not approaching the end of your story. You are approaching the climax. At 65, 70, 80, 85 years old, you are not winding down. According to the blueprint, you are winding up. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver a nation. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the infant Jesus. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. But the enemy has been working overtime to convince you that the blueprint was a lie. He's whispered that your suffering was meaningless, your pain was pointless, your years of faithfulness went unnoticed. He wants you to believe that you're just another forgotten senior citizen whose time has passed. That is a demonic deception designed to keep you from opening the scroll that heaven has been waiting to reveal. Because here's the truth that will set you free. Every detail of your life, every single detail has been working together for good. Romans 8:28 doesn't say some things work together for good. It says all things. The betrayals, the losses, the sleepless nights, the financial struggles, the health scares, the loneliness, all of it was threading together to create a tapestry so beautiful that when it's finally revealed, you'll fall to your knees in worship. The blueprint shows that your pain was preparation, your scars are your credentials, your survival is your testimony, and your future is about to make sense of everything you've endured. Do you want to know what heaven wrote about you? Stay with me, because in the next breath, I will reveal the shocking truth about why you were chosen, why you survived, and what you're about to step into that will leave the world speechless. But I need to know, are you ready to see what's been hidden in the scroll of your destiny? If your spirit is burning with recognition right now, write "Unfold my scroll" in the comments. Don't just think it, declare it, because your agreement with heaven unlocks the next level of revelation. The blueprint is about to be revealed. Chosen one. And what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about your purpose on this earth. Chosen one, for 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been asking the same haunting question. God, how do I know you really chose me? You've watched others seem to glide through life while you've carried weights that would crush ordinary souls. You've wondered if your struggles meant God had forgotten you, abandoned you, left you to fight battles alone in the dark. But what if I told you that every single trial was actually heaven's way of marking you? What if your pain wasn't punishment but proof? Right now, I'm going to sound 7 spiritual trumpets over your life. 7 confirmations that will shatter every doubt about your identity. These aren't just words, beloved. These are divine declarations echoing from the throne room itself. And as each trumpet sounds, you're going to recognize your own story. The first trumpet, supernatural survival. You should have been destroyed. That heart attack at 62 that the doctors said would kill you. That financial collapse in 2008 that wiped out families across America. That depression so deep you stared at pill bottles, wondering if anyone would miss you. You should have broken under pressures that snapped stronger people in half. But you're still here. While neighbors succumbed to despair, while friends gave up and walked away from faith, while family members crumbled under far lighter loads you endured. Not because you were stronger, but because heaven's hand was upon you. Psalm 91:7 declares, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. This is proof. You are chosen. The second trumpet. Spiritual discernment. You've always seen what others missed, haven't you? You could sense when someone was lying before they opened their mouth. You felt spiritual darkness in places others called holy. You knew that smooth-talking preacher was a wolf, while everyone else was writing checks. You discerned trouble coming months before it arrived, and people called you negative, paranoid, too sensitive. But you weren't wrong, were you? That uncomfortable feeling in your spirit when your daughter brought that man home. He turned out to be abusive. That unease about that investment opportunity everyone was raving about. It collapsed, taking life savings with it. That warning you felt about trusting certain people. They betrayed others exactly as your spirit predicted. This supernatural discernment isn't coincidence, it's divine equipment. Only the chosen carry heaven's early warning system. This is proof. You are chosen. The third trumpet. Tears heaven collected. O chosen one, the tears you've cried in secret. 3 a.m. weeping sessions when the weight of caring for everyone else finally crushed your chest. Tears over prodigal children who walked away from everything you taught them. Tears over a spouse who died too young, leaving you to navigate widowhood in a world that forgets the elderly exist. You thought those tears meant you were weak, but Psalm 56:8 reveals the truth. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Every tear was caught, counted, treasured, because tears of the chosen aren't just salt water, they're liquid intercession. Those midnight cries weren't evidence of abandonment, they were evidence of assignment. Only vessels trusted with deep calling experience deep weeping. This is proof. You are chosen. The fourth trumpet. Rejection as redirection. They overlooked you for the promotion you deserved. Your own children stopped calling as often once they started their families. The church you served faithfully for 40 years barely noticed when you stepped back. Society treats you like you're invisible now that your hair is silver and your steps are slower. But what if every rejection was heaven's protection? What if every closed door was God steering you away from settling for less than His best? What if being overlooked by people positioned you to be overseen by the Almighty? Joseph's brothers rejected him into a pit, but God redirected him to a palace. David was rejected by King Saul, but redirected to a throne. Jesus himself was rejected by his hometown, but redirected to transform the world. Your rejection wasn't about your worth, it was about your assignment. This is proof. You are chosen. The fifth trumpet. Consecrating loneliness. The loneliness has been unbearable at times, hasn't it? Sitting at kitchen tables built for families but eating alone. Watching movies in living rooms designed for laughter but filled with silence. Feeling like a stranger even in crowds. Carrying conversations no one else seems interested in having. But what if that loneliness wasn't abandonment but consecration? What if God removed certain people not to punish you, but to position you for intimate communion with Him? Moses met God alone on the mountain. Elijah heard God's whisper in solitary caves. John received revelation on a lonely island. Your loneliness wasn't isolation, it was incubation. Heaven was preparing you for assignments that require people who know how to hear God's voice above the noise of human opinion. This is proof. You are chosen. The sixth trumpet. Refining fire. The fire came in waves, didn't it? Financial pressure that lasted years, not months. Health scares that tested your faith daily. Family crisis after family crisis, until you wondered if peace would ever return to your home. But you weren't consumed. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked in flames 7 times hotter than normal and emerged without even the smell of smoke. The fire didn't destroy them, it destroyed their chains. Your fire wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to break off everything that wasn't supposed to be attached to your destiny. Fear, doubt, people-pleasing, the need for human approval. The flames burned away everything except your pure trust in God. This is proof. You are chosen. The seventh trumpet. Peace stirring. Right now, as I speak these words, something is shifting in your chest. The anxiety that's tormented you for years is loosening its grip. The questions that have haunted your mind are quieting. The restlessness that's driven you for decades is settling into supernatural peace. This isn't emotional manipulation. This is divine confirmation. When the seventh trumpet sounds, it doesn't just announce, it activates. Something ancient and eternal is awakening in your spirit right now. This is proof. You are chosen, and now heaven declares it is time. Time to stop questioning your worth and start walking in your authority. Time to stop hiding your gifts and start releasing your glory. Time to stop surviving and start reigning. Comment the number 7 below heaven's code of completion to align yourself with this prophetic moment. But this is more than completing these confirmations. This is stepping into the revelation that will change everything about how you see your remaining years. Because, chosen one, you didn't just survive to grow old quietly. You survived to become dangerous to darkness in your golden years. Chosen one, while you've been sitting in your kitchen at 3 a.m. wondering if God has forgotten you, do you know what's been happening in the unseen realm? While you've been wrestling with shame over your past mistakes, while you've been carrying guilt like a 50-pound weight on your shoulders, while the enemy has been whispering accusations in your ear day and night, a trial has been taking place that will shock you to your core. In the cosmic courtroom of eternity, a case was being heard, your case, and you had no idea. Picture this: the throne room of heaven, more magnificent than any courthouse on earth. Angels standing as witnesses, their voices echoing through dimensions we cannot see. The enemy himself, that ancient accuser, pointing his bony finger directly at you, listing every failure, every moment of weakness, every time you stumbled and fell. Look at them, Satan snarled before the judge of all creation. Look at their addiction that lasted 15 years. Look at their marriage that fell apart. Look at how they screamed at their children when they were overwhelmed. Look at their financial mistakes, their moments of doubt, their nights of despair when they cursed your name. How can you call this one chosen? The accusations flew like arrows. Every secret sin you thought nobody knew about. Every moment of weakness you've hidden from your family. Every time you felt like a fraud sitting in church, wondering if anyone could see through your smile to the pain underneath. But then, silence, the judge of all creation, the ancient of days, whose voice spoke galaxies into existence, slowly rose from his throne. The courtroom trembled. Even the angels held their breath. And God himself, with a voice that shook the foundations of eternity, declared, "Sustained faith under fire is not failure, it is final proof of chosenness." Do you hear that thunder rolling across heaven right now? That's the sound of the gavel falling. Bang! The accusations are overruled. Every lie the enemy told you about being damaged, goods overruled. Every whisper that you're too broken to be used by God, overruled. Every voice that said you missed your chance, you're too old, you've made too many mistakes, overruled. The case is closed. The case is closed. The case is closed. You see, chosen one, while you thought your struggles were evidence of God's displeasure, they were actually evidence presented in your defense. Romans 8:28 doesn't lie. All things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Every tear you cried in secret, Exhibit A, proof of your tender heart. Every time you got back up after falling, Exhibit B, evidence of your unbreakable spirit. Every moment you chose to pray instead of curse, to hope instead of despair, to love instead of hate. Exhibit C, D, E, a mountain of testimony that you carry something the enemy cannot kill. But here's what will absolutely devastate you. The judge didn't just declare you not guilty. He stood up, walked down from his throne, and placed his own robe of righteousness around your shoulders. Isaiah 61:10 declares, "He hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness." That shame you've been carrying for 20 years, it's been stripped away. That guilt over your past, it's been burned in the fires of His love. That voice that keeps reminding you of who you used to be, it's been silenced by the voice of who you are. The enemy thought he had a case against you, but he forgot one crucial piece of evidence: the blood of Jesus Christ that speaks better things than the blood of Abel. When God looks at you, He doesn't see your failures. He sees His Son's perfect sacrifice covering every flaw, every mistake, every moment of weakness. Right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, something is happening in that cosmic courtroom. The enemy is being forcibly removed. His mouth has been shut. His accusations have been thrown out, and the voice of the Almighty is declaring over your life, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." The trial is over, chosen one. You didn't just win, you were vindicated. The judge himself testified on your behalf. The jury of heaven has spoken. The verdict is innocent on all charges. No voice of accusation can rise against you again. Heaven has already spoken. Not guilty, not forgotten, not forsaken, chosen. But here's what this verdict means for your daily life. Every morning when you wake up and the enemy tries to remind you of your past, you can point to that cosmic courtroom and say, "The case is closed." Every time guilt tries to creep in, every time shame tries to whisper lies, every time you feel unworthy, you have a legal document from the highest court in the universe declaring your innocence. You are not on trial anymore. You are not under investigation. You are not waiting for a verdict. The gavel has fallen. The robe has been placed on your shoulders, and you walk as one who has been publicly vindicated by the judge of all creation. If you feel this truth burning in your chest right now, if something in your spirit is rising up and saying, "Yes," then don't just sit there, declare it. Say out loud right where you are, "Case closed." Type it in the comments with all capital letters. Let heaven hear your agreement with this divine verdict. Because when you declare "case closed," you're not just making a statement, you're stepping into a new identity. You're walking out of that courtroom as one who has been forever cleared of all charges. But the question that will determine your future is this: if heaven has declared you innocent, when will you stop living like you're guilty? Chosen one, I need you to stop right here and listen to something that's going to shatter every limitation you've accepted about your future. What if I told you that every single thing the enemy stole from you, every dream that died, every opportunity that slipped away, every relationship that crumbled, every dollar that vanished, what if all of it is about to return to you? Doubled. You think I'm speaking in metaphors? You think this is just feel-good theology to make you feel better about your losses? Listen to the word of the living God in Joel 2:25. "I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, not some of the years, not a portion of what was lost, all of it, every single year, every stolen moment, every wasted season." But here's what will stop your heart: God doesn't just restore, He doubles. Look at Job. Everything was stripped away. His children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. But when God restored him, Job 42:10 declares, "The Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before." Twice as much. The man who lost everything received double everything. That's not just restoration, that's divine mathematics. Dear chosen one, those years you spent in depression, they weren't wasted, they were planted. Like seeds buried in dark soil. What looked dead was actually developing roots so deep that when breakthrough comes, nothing will ever uproot you again. Every tear you cried in secret was liquid investment into a harvest you can't even imagine. Think about this. Why has the enemy fought you so viciously? Why have the attacks been so relentless? Because he saw what was coming in your future. He saw the double portion heaven had prepared for you. And his only hope was to convince you to give up before you reached your appointed hour. But you didn't give up, did you? Even when your bank account hit zero, even when your children broke your heart, even when your spouse walked away, even when the doctors gave you bad news, something inside you refused to surrender. That wasn't human stubbornness. That was divine DNA. That was the double portion fighting to be born. Now listen closely. Those lost decades you've been mourning, they're about to become your greatest testimony. Those years the locusts devoured, they're about to bloom like flowers after rain. Because in God's economy, nothing is ever wasted. Nothing. You've been like Joseph in that prison, wondering if God forgot about you. 13 years of waiting, serving, believing, while your dreams seemed dead and buried. But watch this. When Pharaoh called for Joseph, he didn't just get released from prison, he got promoted to prime minister in a single day. 13 years of loss became a lifetime of leadership. That's your story, chosen one. You're not just getting restored, you're getting elevated. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. The double portion isn't just about material things, it's about everything. Double peace where there was chaos, double joy where there was sorrow, double strength where there was weakness, double favor where there was rejection. You're about to walk into rooms where people who once overlooked you will stand to honor you. Not because you demanded it, but because heaven commanded it. I see it in the spirit right now, two rivers converging into one mighty flood. The river of your past pain and the river of God's future purpose, crashing together with such force that nothing can stand against the overflow. What you lost in decades, heaven is about to return in days. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest. That's not your imagination, that's the double portion awakening. Your buried seeds are breaking soil right now. The evidence is already manifesting. Opportunities you never pursued are pursuing you. Doors you never knocked on are swinging open. People you never met are about to become divine connections that change everything. But listen, this double portion comes with responsibility. You're not just getting blessed to hoard blessing, you're getting equipped to be a blessing. When the floodgates open over your life, you become a living testimony that God keeps His promises. When others see your sudden turnaround, they'll know that if God did it for you, He'll do it for them. Chosen one, I feel the urgency burning in my spirit right now. This message found you at your exact moment of breakthrough. Tomorrow might be too late, next week might miss the window, but right now in this sacred moment, heaven is releasing the double portion over your life. Get ready, because what you lost in decades, heaven will return in days. The years of preparation are over. The season of acceleration has begun. If you feel this fire burning in your bones, if something deep inside is confirming this word, I need you to do something powerful right now. Comment double below. This isn't just typing, it's prophetic agreement with heaven's decree over your life. When you type double, you're declaring to every force that tried to steal from you, my God pays back with interest. And don't keep this promise to yourself. Share this message with someone you love who's been waiting for their breakthrough. Your obedience might be the very thing that triggers their double portion too. The locusts are done eating, chosen one. The harvest is here. And you're about to discover that God's restoration mathematics always multiply in your favor. Chosen one. Passing the test was not just for survival, it was to prepare you for the assignment that begins now. You think you've been through hell and back just so you could finally rest. You think God put you through the fire just so you could sit in silence for the rest of your days. Listen to me carefully. Everything you've endured, every sleepless night, every tear that fell when no one was watching, every moment you thought you couldn't take another step, it was all preparation for this very moment. You are not done, you are just beginning. Look around you right now. Look at the world crumbling before our eyes. Families destroyed, children lost, elderly forgotten in nursing homes, dying alone. A generation drowning in depression, addiction, and hopelessness. And you're sitting there thinking your story doesn't matter, that your pain was pointless, that your scars are just reminders of what broke you. That's the biggest lie the enemy ever whispered in your ear. Your scars are not shame, they're your credentials. Your pain is not your past, it's your platform. Your story is not a tragedy, it's a testimony waiting to save someone else's life. Do you remember Job? After everything he lost, his children, his wealth, his health, God didn't just restore him, He doubled everything. But more than that, Job became a living testimony for generations. His story didn't end with his suffering. It began with his breakthrough. And now, thousands of years later, his testimony still pulls people back from the edge of despair. That's what God is calling you to be. You think you survived that depression just for yourself? That divorce that nearly killed you? That financial ruin that left you eating beans from a can? You think you walked through that valley of the shadow of death just so you could tell people how hard life is? No, chosen one, you survived so you could become the voice that says, if I made it through, so can you. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a 7-8-year-old grandmother sitting in her kitchen at 3 a.m., staring at a bottle of pills, convinced that nobody would miss her if she just stopped. She needs to hear your voice. She needs to know that someone else felt that darkness and lived to see the light. Right now, there's a 65-year-old man who just buried his wife of 45 years, wondering how he's supposed to breathe without her. He needs to hear how you learned to live again after losing everything. Right now, there's a family watching their father slip away to dementia, and they're losing hope. They need to see how you found strength in the storm. You are like a lighthouse, chosen one. You didn't endure those storms just to stand still in the aftermath. You endured them so your light could guide ships through the darkness. Every scar you carry is a beacon. Every tear you've shed is liquid gold that will heal someone else's wounds. Isaiah 61:1 declares, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners." Do you hear that? You have been anointed, not just blessed anointed, not just saved sent. You are the good news walking into someone's tragedy. You are the hope stepping into someone's despair. But here's what breaks my heart. Most of you are sitting on the most powerful testimony this generation has ever heard, and you're keeping it locked up because you think it's too broken to share. You think people won't understand. You think your story is too messy, too painful, too real. That's exactly why they need to hear it. The world is tired of perfect people with perfect lives, giving them perfect advice that doesn't work in the real world. They need to hear from someone who's been in the pit and climbed out. They need to see the scars and know they're not alone. They need to witness the aftermath of a storm and see that survival is possible. Your hidden season is over. The time of silent suffering has ended. God didn't train you in the wilderness just to keep you there forever. He trained you there so you could lead others out. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before God called him to deliver a nation. David hid in caves for years before he took the throne. Jesus himself spent 30 years in obscurity before 3 years changed the world forever. Your silence has ended. Your story will save. Your crown is not just for you, it is for those still crawling through the valley you've already conquered. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. Time is running out. This generation is dying, literally dying from hopelessness. Suicide rates among seniors have skyrocketed 48% in the last decade. Depression visits more American homes after age 65 than any other time in life. While you're sitting there thinking you're too old, too tired, too broken to matter, souls are slipping into eternity without ever hearing the hope you carry. How many more will we lose while you stay silent? This is your final assignment, chosen one. Not to be perfect, but to be real. Not to have all the answers, but to share the ones that saved your life. Not to stand on a platform, but to sit beside someone in their darkness and whisper, "I've been there too, and there is a way out." Your voice carries authority that no seminary degree can provide. Your words hold weight that no theological education can match. Why? Because you've walked through the fire and lived to tell about it. The assignment is simple but urgent. Tell your story, share your scars, speak your truth, whether it's to one person or 1,000, whether it's in your living room or online, whether it's through words or just through the way you live. Let your light shine. If you feel this fire burning in your chest right now, if something deep inside you is stirring to life for the first time in years, don't you dare ignore it. Comment below, "I accept my assignment." Say it out loud. Let heaven hear it. Let your own ears hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Not for me, but for you. Because God is releasing prophetic words in this season that will keep you aligned with your assignment. You need to stay connected to what heaven is saying. Your assignment is not optional, chosen one. Someone's deliverance depends on your obedience. Their breakthrough is tied to your boldness. Their survival might depend on your story. The question that will determine everything is this: will you finally step into the purpose your pain has prepared you for? Chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry these eternal truths with you like precious stones in your heart. Remember this: you passed God's final test, not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. Not because you never fell, but because you always got back up. The depression that nearly destroyed you, the betrayal that broke your heart, the nights you cried until no tears were left, these weren't punishments. They were preparations. You have been refined by fire, tested by time, and proven faithful when faithfulness felt impossible. Remember this: your assignment is not optional. The story locked inside your heart, the testimony sealed by your scars, the hope you carry despite everything you've endured, these are not accidents. They are appointments. Someone, somewhere, is waiting for exactly what you've learned in the darkness. Your voice matters. Your experience has value. Your survival is someone else's salvation. And remember this most of all: the same God who carried you through the valley is still walking with you on the mountain. He didn't bring you this far to abandon you now. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's not just a verse, that's your reality, your fortress, your unshakable foundation. But beloved, I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the silence feels deafening, even when the road seems endless, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, the Creator of the universe is orchestrating every step. He's moving mountains you can't see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and preparing blessings you can't even imagine. And right here, in this digital sanctuary we've created together, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your journey. We see you, we believe in you, we will stand with you. This isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a community of warriors, a family of the chosen, a gathering of souls who refuse to give up on each other or on God's promises. Let me ask you this final question, and let it resonate in the depths of your spirit. If God has brought you through everything you've survived so far, if He's proven His faithfulness in your darkest hours, if He's still breathing life into your lungs right now, what are you afraid He can't handle in your future? I want you to share your heart with this community. Comment below and tell us what God spoke to you through this message. What burden has been lifted? What calling has been confirmed? What hope has been restored? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their next step. And please, share this message with someone who needs to remember they're chosen too. There's a friend, a family member, a neighbor who's fighting the same battles you fought. They need to know they're not alone. They need to see that survival is possible. They need your light to guide them home. If this message has touched your soul, if God has used these words to remind you of who you are and whose you are, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Not for my sake, but for yours. Because God isn't done speaking, and you need to stay connected to what heaven is saying in this season. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for receiving God's love, for remembering your calling. Thank you for being brave enough to believe that your story matters, that your pain has purpose, and that your future is brighter than your past. Now, before you go anywhere, before you return to the noise and rush of daily life, join me in this prayer. I want you to close your eyes place your hand on your heart, and let me speak over your life with the authority of someone who has seen God's faithfulness for decades. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul who has heard these words tonight. Lord, you see them, not just their pain, but their potential, not just their scars, but their strength, not just their past, but their purpose. God, breathe fresh wind into their weary spirits. Where they feel discouraged, restore their hope. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they are engraved on your palms. Where they feel overwhelmed, be their peace that surpasses all understanding. Father, open doors for them that no man can shut. Provide resources they haven't even thought to ask for. Send divine connections that will accelerate their assignment. Give them supernatural strength for every challenge, divine wisdom for every decision, and unshakable faith for every storm. Heal their bodies, Lord. Mend their hearts. Restore their relationships. Multiply their resources. Let them feel your presence so powerfully that doubt has no place to land in their minds. And God, use their story, use their pain, use their testimony to set captives free, to heal the brokenhearted, to remind this generation that you are still in the business of miracles. Let their life become a lighthouse that guides others safely home. In Jesus' mighty name, the name above every name, the name that breaks every chain, I pray and believe. Amen. You are loved, chosen one. You are called. You are not alone. And your greatest days are not behind you, they're ahead of you. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the unshakable knowledge that you serve a God who never fails, never forgets, and never gives up on his children. Until we meet again, keep your eyes on Jesus, your heart open to his voice, and your hands ready for his assignments. You are chosen. You are crowned. You are unstoppable. Amen.